It's a Vipassana-like. It's like a active meditation.
Hmm.
So using it in your everyday life.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Um, so in that regard, I guess what I'm trying to teach this week is I don't know. I would call it even a more a deeper distillation of the whole thing. The so when they say like follow the breath on the meditation, the mind is the breath. That's it. Like the mind's the breath, and if you just keep it in the body. So you can let it wander or body scan. The only thing that they're having you do with the body scanning is to give you something to do to keep it in the body. You're literally eating. And then the longer that it like when your mind's on something, like if your mind's distracted or wandering, then that's like the psychosis that there's energy somewhere else for you to get. Right? Like why else would you be going elsewhere else unless there was like there's some delusional belief that that thought has some relevance to your energy acquisition. And it's just like like the instant that you're mindful anywhere, it does that flux field thing starts happening. And when you're sitting, what I've been finding for the sitting is like there's all these qigong loops and everything that you can start doing, right, to move energy around and kind of breathe. And those are moderately useful. I almost just have found with like the sitting is to like you focus in on the breath and you can let the whole body do its thing, but then you'll notice like you'll start to get like tired of that and you'll lose it. Then you can just shoot the breath along any one of those pathways and then it'll get tired of that and you can expand it back into a different type of thing. But the only thing that you need to be doing is keeping it in and realizing that it's like it's literally food. Whenever there's food or there's energy craving, an energy craving or a hunger craving or whatever thing is a craving for energy. And so the basic meditation stuff is to get in there and see how that's all just there in a way. And so you're doing it when you're sitting, the non-moving postures is just the simplest. It's the easiest way to break zero. Like if you're walking around, you're moving around, there's an energy expenditure that's a little bit higher, so it's harder to actually go in. But you'll start to notice that you can take over your breathing for yourself instead of it having it be a physical mechanical process. Like you can get 2 or 3 breaths per breath by like whenever you breathe in, you get this like, and it'll start to spread through your whole body. You know, you can kind of feel it and breathe into your whole body all at once. You can get that going independent of the breath. So then you've got your mind kind of doing this, even though your actual breath is only going, you know, and so it'll start to scale up the whole thing, and you actually, it's an ingestation of energy. It's a food. It's a literal food. And then if you want to do any of these crazy patterns, like you get a little globule of mind or whatever, your little body scanning focus going on, and at first it's only like spreading out and doing that thing, or it's only doing like strips and body scans. After a while, you can your focus or your concentration can get to the point to where the body scans are no longer points, but like conveyor belts, right? So then you get a conveyor belt going, and then you get a point within the conveyor belt. So then you get the conveyor belt, like that point adds into, and then you can actually start to like spin the conveyor belt. And then all of this stuff should be done sans visualizations of any sort. And that's what like a lot of most of the people that have been doing any of the breathing stuff have been using these like calling in like Michael or like diamond white light shit or all that other stuff. It's calling in like a very complex pattern of breath. That's all it's doing is these visualizations calling like a really complex pattern of breath. The problem with that is that all those complex patterns of breath are like sort of concepts that are on known frequencies. So then you're inviting in everyone that's used that type of meditation before. So if you're calling in like the diamond light meditation or something like that, it's like literally inviting everyone on that frequency into it to get the breath going in these crazy healing ways, like when you're imagining even, so you want to build it up from the ground level and see if you can like find what, like, if you want to do like a green something in your heart chakra, it would be to find like what is the movement pattern that creates green. So you're looking for the frequency from the bottom up rather than grabbing green from the bottom down, kind of thing, if that makes any sense. But it's it's really simple in that it's literally food. Like, it's become really, really easy for me to do 45-minute sits because it's like it's the same thing as, and I get full after about 35 or 40 minutes. And then I'll just like, it just becomes like I'm not able to, at my current level, suck in any more energy at that point. So at that point it becomes conducive to just chill out and see what's happening, or to go do something else more productive or whatever. But doing this over and over again, I mean, you've done it before, so you should be able to get all these like different conveyor belts going. But the thing that's really cool is that it's actual, it's the exact same thing as eating. Like, all these different tiers are just, it's just different layers of like energy acquisition, and then pulling them down into all the way into the cellular metabolism versus like, I don't know what it's versus like, this is just what most people need to be doing. There's a stepwise process to build up to that, of like integrating love and life and true thinking. This would be the top tier of like true thinking, I guess, because it's like you think you're there with you think you're a cellular organism, most likely. Some part of you thinks you're a cellular organism. So this is like, the mindfulness is literally the brain, and this is why all you have to do is non-do. Right? You just non-do, and this thing is like designed to figure out how to get everything going that way. And so it's just, you need the correct story to get out of the way and let it do that, is that it's eating. Like, it's not, it's actually acquiring energy to support itself. So that's kind of like the of breathing. Questions? Thoughts?
This sounds like Jordan stuff that he's putting out, the microcosmic orbit.
Yeah, I watched his video, or his 5-element ones, because he wanted me to. The thing that I've been noticing with the microcosmic orbit is most people are too weak to initiate it. So you actually have to feel it grab, right? So you can't just like, if you just visualize these things, like a lot of the times, or if you're smoking pot, right? Like if you're high, the visualizations will grab energy, but the energy won't grab your body. And so that's why it feels like you can do all this crazy stuff when you're high, because you're a little bit decoupled, and it is moving energy, but it's like you're not really very much in it. And so the microcosmic orbit, I've been noticing that I can't complete it successfully until I do a bunch of like, get like a, I don't know, probably a 1 minute long at least, sort of an in and out expansion, and some like spinning at the arms, and then just some, I don't know, moving around the body for a little bit for a warm up, and then to actually grab the energy at the back of the spine and pull it over in that orbit is somewhat of a it's somewhat of a high level move, to be honest, which I guess you could do it without grabbing the energy very much, but I find it conducive to do orbits around things that aren't quite, this is a big belt to start moving, right? Like, around here is a smaller belt. So depending on like how much you like, and it needs to warm up in a bit. So my hunch is that a lot of people don't experience too much like epiphany success with some of the microcosmic or the qigong stuff, is because it's a complex task. Like it's the same thing as running. Like, running's cake, right? Running is cake, but it's like, if you really break it down, there's a lot of movement and nuance to it that if you don't go through it and actually feel it, like, it's either not doing what you want or whatever else. And so those orbits, the microcosmic orbit is cool because like there's not really a larger continuous orbit on your body unbroken. to incorporate your legs in there. They're kind of spinning this way or that way, and it's really open-ended. Like
Yeah.
all these orbits and everything is just, it's just shit people made up.
Right.
Right. So like you're just like, so to get, but it's like to get an orbit larger than the microcosmic orbit or macro or whatever it is, like you've got, this is from your sacrum to your head, that's pretty much the longest measurable thing besides maybe your leg, and it doesn't orbit that way, right? So your leg's kind of spinning this way and your microcosmic orbit's going that way, so you get your legs doing this little mind vortex, and if you can create a whirlpool of the nervous system through the tissue continuously, that shit is like pumping ions and stuff across the membranes of the cells. It's actually doing metabolic work, and then you can even let it, you want everything that you do, you want to relax and let it spin the other way, because breath has to go in both directions. So whatever meditation you're doing, you have to let it like either stop or actually totally reverse it. In most cases, like I think it's just a stop. I don't know how much use there is to doing orbits backwards.
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know. I think there's probably some utility to doing them backwards, the same way that like occasionally it's useful to do like bench press while you're breathing in. It's good just to be able to move energy in any direction, even though it's like functionally most of the time when you're pushing forward you're going to be pushing out, but you kind of want the ability to suck in as you push out at the same time. Like it's not a bad thing, it's just not. But you know, you get the legs breathing, and for that to get in the microcosmic orbit, they have to like do a little conversion process. So you've got two tracks, and the microcosmic orbit's like the longest straight line track to where it's a single conveyor belt. The other ones plug into it in various kind of open-ended ways. But it's the mind. I guess it's a mind fuck to me. I mean, to feel it as strongly as I've been, it's actual eating that you can get better and better and better at, and there's no substance to it. So it's this addiction-free food, and it really is a food. And the more that you practice it and get these belts going, it's just a continuous. Because eventually it's like stirring a pot. I took some pictures at the. I'll just do something super ghetto here. We were at the beach the other day, and the end of that, the sand patterns from the tide going out.
Yeah.
Fingerprints.
Ah.
Like this is just, the fingerprints are literally like the residue of the energy flow on your skin. Like there's an energy flow on your skin that's like similar to that small skimming water on top of the sand, and that's like what gives you the fingerprints and stuff like that. So you've got these things, and when you're moving your mind through it, it's like stirring a pot. And if you do it enough, the pot you vortex a bucket of water, you can go and do something else, and that water will continue to vortex for a while, and you're getting energy from it the whole time that it's vortexing. And then you just come back to it once a day, once a week, or whatever. So for these like deep retreats, you're trying to get these like really deep level pools of your energy vortexing so that you can like walk away from it, and that stuff will be gearing up, and that'll make then when you do like your 30 or 45 minute sits, you just go in and stir it for a little bit, and it should just whoosh, kick off. That's why it's, you maintain the practice, and it's like, when you get to go to a retreat, you're getting to go down into like the deepest, darkest, like energy generating gyros in there and get them spinning, and that facilitates everything spinning. And then if you keep it spinning from the outside, once everything's in sequence, then no matter where you're meditating, you're enhancing your surface level and your deepest gyros. But for most of us, like these things are clogged, and then we're trying to get it stirring, and it just, nothing happens until you do the retreat, and all of a sudden this thing starts moving around, and then that keeps the surface moving around. So all of a sudden, like, oh, life's fucking crazy, and this thing is still going, and if you just chill out for a second, then they'll resynchronize again. So you've got that kind of gear sequence, and I assume that's what happens on your, if you did like a 3-month or a year-long one, is like just accessing like a really, really deep vibration, and if you don't lose it, then everything gets really, really effortless, which frees up. You get your macrocosmic orbit going for on its own, and then that frees you up to do stuff with your hands or whatever else. But it's the chi flowing is these like waves of the I mean at the base level of like if you're experiencing yourself as having a flesh body, if you're still in the consciousness of like this is a flesh body, then that's when the neural kinetic belief set is probably the most inspiring thing, because it provides the science of how you're getting energy that way. That's why you eat, because you believe that you get energy from it. So while you're a physical body, the neural kinetic, which is these nerve oscillations, like as your body's scanning, if you're generating a feeling sensation, so it's like you've got this little part where the brain's trying to like create a harmonic pattern with itself so it can notice disturbances. That's kind of what the perceptual thing is. So that harmonic pattern is then it's harvested for energy, which is kind of the driving force that everyone wants to be in control of, and harvesting energy for themselves in some way. And they're changing their definition of selves to have more energy, which includes like owning children or cars or egos or anything else like that. And so this is like, it's literally it's sucking energy out of consciousness, because the consciousness is moving the mind, and then that's giving you access to it in a physical way.
Sounds
And then
good.
that gears in with the diet. Like,
Yeah.
it's so, if you don't eat past full, it's a huge.
Yeah.
The longer that you go not eating past full, it's the same thing as being like mindful, and it prevents all the shit from building up in you. Like half of the voices in our head are literally like bacteria and yeast. Insane. So it's like, who are you breathing for, and who are you eating for? Is like the interesting question. Is like, who is this breath for that I'm taking? What is this oxygen going towards? Do I need it, or is just something else needed? But that's the whole mechanic behind all of the breathing, all the body scanning, is that it gives you energy independence, and that's why you get high. And that's why I would like when you drop acid or you're on mushrooms, you're just sitting around and you are in energy independence when you're high. So somebody goes, hey, let's have a drink, or have some food, and you'll like just enjoy it, eat it, love it, and you stop, and there's none of this like compulsive like, oh, I need the last one. It was like,
yeah,
it's so much easier to get into that state when you're in energy independence. All the cravings and stuff go away, and it's not because you defeated anything, it's because you're actually like feeding yourself, and so then there's no hunger. I don't know, it gets all biblical and shit. But yeah, so Kelly should come out and be a breath avatar.
We'll see about that.
But this is what they would teach in you're sitting in a horse stance, and you would do something like you're breathing out weakness into the earth, and then you're breathing in strength, and you do this stuff like barefoot on the ground, and you're pulling in like Schumann resonance. You're like the same way that you can copy your. Oh, that's what I would be doing during the Vipassana thing when you're sitting, is like you have all these rhythms in your body that are just going, that's providing these different pulses. If you can just feel them, then you mimic them. You can kind of mimic a heart, that like you can start to mimic so you can increase your heart rate without increasing your heart rate. You can increase your adrenal function without having adrenaline, right? What that looks like if you were to if you get into the electrical system of your body, you get to do and experience all these things that usually have a corresponding like negative response to them. Like elevated heart rate usually means that I'm like scared or excited or there's something going on and it's like stressing my body to give myself that much energy. It's stressing my heart. Or if I dump my adrenal energy, I'm being attacked or I'm being chased or something is again stressing me. So there's this like negative corollary that's like the burning. If you get these conveyor belts going or this energy flow going, you can do an adrenal dump, which is actually just dumping your leg chi into your upper system. So if you figure out how to connect your legs into the macrocosmic orbit, you can just be like, suck that energy in, and it's there because you've cultivated it from the breathing. So every time you're sitting and breathing and meditating, and you can actually charge up the physical centers of the body are the ones that are like just kind of the body's taking care of itself like always, right? So those are always at baseline 0. Like the body's always got plenty of energy, the heart, the brain, the adrenal glands, all the organs are actually like completely at 0 and non-panicked. And it's the sense of self that is like at deficit. So like when you're doing the meditations, you're actually building up like an energy body or a reservoir of energy around the various organ systems that then you can draw on that energy without it taxing the physical body whatsoever. So somebody's about to attack you and you can like dump all of your adrenal chi into your energy thing and that'll actually dissuade the event from happening. And they call that like arriving at it before it happens. So you get, if you're afraid of being hungry or afraid of being whatever, you can cultivate this energy around it and arrive there beforehand, and then it actually changes the manifestation route of what would happen. Versus like if you needed, like if your soul needed to experience being attacked by thugs, that energy play is going to take place no matter what. So if you have no reserve chi, when that karma happens, you have to be attacked by thugs, and so you'll either be running away or defending yourself and either living or dying or something, but something's physically going to happen to you so that adrenal chi can get into your body, because that's what the universe thought that you needed. You needed to be scared shitless just then. You didn't need to be scared shitless, but that was the only way that your higher mind can get the energy into you, is to scare you shitless. If you cultivate the adrenal chi and it says you need this energy, all it has to do is go, okay, and then you might only need to walk within like 10 feet of somebody that would have mugged you, and you knew it was going to happen. Like you see the event coming, or you see that I'm going to be hungry, I'm going to be in trouble or something, you see it coming, and you have enough energy to actually go out and meet it while it's like way far away from you and suck all the energy from that event, because you're actually getting energy from those karmic events. You're reclaiming the karma. So the expansion and this type of eating lets you have a huge karmic buffer on the physical world. It looks like it, but you're actually still eating it. And like you see, like some guy almost mugged me last night. That's why I'm using that example.
Wow.
It got really weird, and then he got within like totally started. It was one of those things where he just popped into my like field of vision, like 15 or 20 feet out in an empty park, like obviously intersecting me. He had no reason to be there, like this giant black dude. Within 5 feet, like I kind of knew his intent, and then within 2.5 feet, I didn't give a shit. I didn't even get scared. I just like was waiting, and then within like 2.5 feet, the guy veered off. So I got like basically all the energy of the encounter, and nothing happened.
Whoa.
Kind of thing. And then it's just like right after that, so I got that text message like right after I almost got like physically like whatever. So it's yeah, this is the energy that you use to like protect yourself and shit. And it doesn't result in if you're doing it right, this shit doesn't manifest because you're meeting it well before it happens. Like you can be on the front line of a conflict and it happens well before it happens, which is why like you don't really necessarily want to get to the front line of a conflict. I'm
Like
totally
Sherlock Holmes, right?
what?
Sherlock Holmes. Have you
What
seen the
about?
Sherlock Holmes movies? He like visualizes the whole fight before it all happens.
Oh, right, I remember that.
It just like happens, and he doesn't have to do anything, right?
Right. No, it's a
Different.
it's actually yeah, it's a little bit like that because the first time I heard that story, it was about my instructor, and I guess it was just him and this other guy working out in the school, and my teacher was in the back room doing some like hand training or something, and these three thugs walk in, and they were obviously like normally if you're off the street you can go into any sort of martial arts school and just beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
They don't know how to fight, you know.
Right.
And so they were walking in. It was these three guys that were like fucking up to no good, and there was only one student in there by himself doing God knows what. And so he's like scared shitless. And then, and these guys were obviously in there, not, you know. And Jason comes out, and I guess he just walks over and he's like staring at the guy that he thought was the meanest, and they're like being kind of aggressive to him, and he's like, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Here's our brochure," and he like didn't take his eyes off the guy, and the whole thing just like kind of strangely deflated, and all three of them left without like anything happening. And the one guy that was the student that was observing this, he was like, I have no fucking idea what happened." And my teacher described it. He said, "I knew that they were going to cause trouble, so I just went there first," kind of thing. And so that's the ability that happens from this type of like breathing activity. And kind of I think when you see people getting into these extravagant dramatic fantasies about them being attacked or trapped or caught or implanted or stuff like, that's them having no, they're putting their body with no buffer shield. You know, imagine a planet with an electromagnetic field. That's what this breath cultivates. As you move through it, it protects you from all the shocks, and it still powers all of your energy. Like you have to deal with your karma. Like you have to see all this stuff, but these I'll call them breath shields like pop online, and then it just creates a little buffer that the stories are almost boring. Like if you boil down the story to what happened physically, a guy almost walked near me in a park.
Yeah.
3 people came into the kung fu school and left. Like there's no glamour to it. There's only glamour to when it's like when your shields are down, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I was implanted out of my bed and my boyfriend was possessed by demons and he attacked me, and you get these escalating stories of people that are like, yeah, you're on the front line of like some metaphysical thing and you're failing.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I see it, but yeah, it charges. That's basically the whole point of this hangout, is to say that like that you're eating, and then that eating gives you actual ability to control your life rather than just to, like, the karma's going to hit you. If you don't have the breathing chi in you, then it hits you however the hell it wants to hit you, or however it needs to hit you to do. Like, you can't even regret it, because like I said, like you would die without the experiences. Like, the reason that you get mugged or raped or whatever is because there's some part in your soul that like absolutely needs that energy. Does it have to look like those things? No, but like you absolutely have to have it to survive, and so you almost can't. Yeah, it's all this stuff is just your body's always at zero, so it's going to call in exactly what it needs.
Yeah.
And through the meditation and the breath, then you get a little bit of an option to play with what that actually looks like.
Okay. Can you hear me?
What?
Am I on? Am I on?
Yes.
Sure. I missed the first part. I don't know what kind of breathing you're talking about. I was trying to get on, but I was sort of can't help it. But I don't know. Is it somewhere I can watch later on, or what?
Yeah. I started recording it at the beginning, so it's all there.
All right.
we-
Okay. Because you're referring to some kind of breath, and I don't know what kind of breath you're referring to.
all of it.
All breath.
All of it.
Kelly's going on a sort of Vipassana retreat, so it was just going over
Yeah.
how the breath and metabolism is actually, like when they say follow the breath is the mind. If the mind is in the body, then the body is breathing. It doesn't have to look like. But if the mind is anywhere in the body and not in a thought or in somewhere else, then that is actually harvesting energy. Like scientifically, literally harvesting energy. It's causing the electromagnetic and physical aspects of the body to interact in such a way that energy is harvested from it, the exact same energy as if you were to go and eat some food. Like it's harvesting the exact same amount of energy. So the various techniques of breathing are not, they really lose all